Feels like a great night, if any. If any night's going to present itself as an opportunity for a guy to make his debut, Blackhawks seem to be the way. We've seen the Canucks do this before earlier this season as well, with Aiden McDonough being an example there. Tonight, Cole McWard, the right shot defenseman out of Ohio State, the Ohio State Buckeyes. One of my favorite ones to say. McWard is going to make his debut for the Canucks tonight. Looks like, I think we're expecting Akito Hirose to be the odd man out, but I don't think we know for sure because Quinn Hughes wasn't at practice yesterday. He is going to play tonight. That is the expectation anyways that Rick Tocchet told us this morning in the media availability. But Cole McWard, what are you expecting tonight as he makes his NHL debut against a horrible Chicago Blackhawks team?
Yeah, it's interesting because the honest answer is that McWard was an off-the-radar type of NCAA free agent. I don't think he was a guy that garnered a lot of buzz, especially because he was a sophomore, right? A lot of guys that sign out of the NCAA are usually juniors or they're seniors. They're closer to that 22, 23, even in Hirose's case, almost 24-year-old sort of range where they've been pretty deep through school and you know that they're ready to make a professional sort of impact and that they don't have a lot of development time left in terms of the run rate. And having said that, with McWard, it's a bit different because he's younger. So he has more development runway. He's going to, my guess, is be more raw than Hirose. I think when you look at Hirose, he was an elite NCAA performer. Mm-hmm. Whereas McWard, good NCAA player, but understandably, because he's younger, he hasn't ascended to that, same sort of level. So because of that, I expect him to be a little bit more raw, but with his skill set, I do think in watching a little bit of tape from college, he seems to move well for a player his size. I mean, I saw him in practice, and right away, my first thought was, man, this guy's big. He's listed at 6'1", so I figured, okay, he's probably going to be around average size. But no, watching him at practice, like, he looked big, man. He looked closer to at least like 6'2", and he had a solid sort of frame on him. So right away his size popped, and when you combine that with, in college at least at that level, his mobility seems pretty good, especially sort of walking the line in the offensive zone. It's going to be intriguing to see how his skill set fares, but it's such a jump up in terms of speed and skill when you go from the NCAA to the NHL, especially when I imagine, actually, I don't even know the exact, sort of time when his NCAA season ended and how long of a layoff it's been, because for players as well, if you take a week or two off, you quickly lose that game shape type conditioning. So all of that is to say, I'm tempering my expectations, but I do think he's an intriguing project moving forward.
Yeah, most definitely. And that was what I asked Rick Tocchet this morning, because how much has he mentioned, whether it be Akito Hirose or Aiden McDonough, it's like, we want to get him some practices before we run them into the lineup.
He got one practice.
One practice for Cole McWard. He's going to hop right in. And I think you bring up a good point. Like, he's 21 years old. I said it on yesterday's show. This isn't a player who's going to help your team or even really battle for a spot on the NHL roster next season. This is a prospect that you want to develop correctly. And this is where the changes that this organization has made under the new regime for their development team is going to be challenged, right? This is where what is happening in Abbotsford, because that's likely where he's going to be next season. What are the developments going to happen in his game? Guys like Gary Agnew, the Sedins out there, these players that are really helping kind of develop on the AHL and in the farm, they're the ones that are going to be challenged with this player, and they're the ones who have to come up and step up to the plate here and develop this kid, because there's some excitement here for sure. I think he didn't get a lot of hype in the NCAA free agent pool because nobody thought this guy was going pro, right? Like, to me, he's in the age bracket, and I said this on yesterday's show as well, he's in the age bracket of being a CHL overager and coming out like a Arshdeep Bains. Like, the fact that Arshdeep Bains is older than this guy kind of says a lot about how young this right shot defenseman is. And J-Pat brought something up today when we were just kind of chit-chatting between media availabilities, and he was like, you watch this kid and he's got a really, like, there's no good way to say this, but he's got a long stick.
Yeah,
like, he's got a long stick for the right shot defenseman. That's really good to see. It'll be interesting to watch how he tonight when I'm watching him, I want to see how he looks when there's speed coming his way. When there's NHL speed coming at you, how are you evaluating where you need to be on the ice, where your stick needs to be on the ice, what you need to do with your body position? Because as we're going to get to a little bit later when we talk about who's impressed Harm, Akito Hirose has done a really good job of that so far this season. I think when you're watching the little little parts of his game that'll end up adding up to being an NHL player. Hirose's had a couple really impressive things off the top. So for McWard, as a right shot guy, you basically just, it's like getting your foot in the door immediately almost when you're a right shot guy with how much value there is behind that position. So tonight, I'm with you. I don't have a ton of expectation. A couple of really nice plays will get me excited about the player, though, for sure. Like if I see a couple of good breakout passes, a couple of good jobs in the corner, kind of, using that size that he has, we'll have to see what happens. I'm with you where don't expect much, but be ready to be impressed if he does do something good. So it's a kind of a win-win situation for him because he has the excuse of like, I didn't get to practice. I didn't get all this stuff. So that excuse can just be used if he has a bad game. If he has a good game, cool, whatever. We'll take it. It's nice. It's fun.
What you'd hope for a player in that situation more than anything is that they take something from that experience that really like stokes a fire in them in terms of thinking to themselves, oh, I may not be there yet, but I can get to the NHL as a full-time player. Like I can, if I work my tail off, I feel like I can elevate and develop myself to the point where I can legitimately belong. And when you have that belief in your mind, anything that you want to achieve, it starts with having that belief. Like you need to have it internally because that's going to be something that you can potentially obsess over once you've gotten a taste of it, right? Because once you're in the NCAA, right, you might see NHL teams interested in you and whatnot, but usually you know that, okay, probably going to have to start developing in the American League. And in this case, McWard is likely going to spend a lot of time in the American League, but to get that first taste of action, it feels so much more real.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes a goal that you can obsess over, especially I imagine sort of being in the locker room, getting treated to all the amenities that come with being an NHL level player. You hope that it's a sort of experience that makes him really excited to pursue this dream and goal even more, and that carries over into his summer training, the level of diligence, focus, and discipline that he has in Abbotsford next season. So that's what I'm hoping McWard himself takes away from this experience.
And on to that, to add to that, I think the other thing is like he's going to get this experience as an NHLer. He's going to travel with the team after this road trip wraps up. And like we have been saying for the last few minutes here, he's going to be in the AHL next year. When you look back, probably next season, when we're fast forwarding here to next year, he looks back and he sees how nice life was in the NHL.
Oh yeah,
you're going to be pretty motivated to work as hard as you can to get back there because listen, the AHL it's great. Especially for the Abbotsford Canucks, they're actually one of the teams that has to fly everywhere. They don't take a bus anywhere like a lot of teams in the AHL do. So it's not like the worst living, but there's a difference to traveling to Florida and New York and Chicago even than it is going to Bakersfield and Manitoba and things like that. Like I think getting that taste of the NHL is a great motivator.
Yeah, I mean, on the NHL team planes, the charters, it's like you're eating steak. Everything's taken care of you. Meanwhile, Curtis Lazar, I remember having a chat with him early in the season. It's like when you're in the American League, you get a pamphlet of options in terms of like what to eat post game, and it's like chicken tenders and fries. It's like the very basic arena type food. You're not living like a king down in the American League. I mean, it's funny. I actually talked to Dakota Joshua a week ago about that as well. In the East Coast League, it's even worse. He's like,
oh gosh,
on the bus they take you to they don't have a lot of time to like cater food or even the budget to do that. So from traveling city to city, they'll like stop by a gas station and get those like nasty gas station hot dogs. And it's like, all right, boys, fuel up.
Yeah, fuel up is right. No, I said they're eating like us in the AHL. I know that. Hey, we've had our fair share of chicken fingers over the years, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to watch it tonight. It's a right shot D. He's got some size. Really liked. I just liked the vibe in his first media availability as well. Seems like a happy-go-lucky kid who's excited to be here. And feels that this organization is the best for his development moving forward. He will burn a year off of that 2-year deal when he plays tonight. So he's got one more year next year to prove. I think we're seeing that a lot. We're going to see a lot of these little 1-year deals for this Canucks team as they really figure things out next season and see what they can do to build off of that.